And we start again for the external facade decoration. So countries from the cereals and tubers cluster, pay attention for your external facade.
Good morning. It's me now. It's the third time. Let's move to cereals and tubers clusters. This cluster is near the East Gate. It's in the south part of the site. This is the location in the Expo site. It's quite near to Open Air Theatre and the Cardus, that is the place to Italian participation. This is an image of the cluster. It's about 3,820 square meters all the surface, and the common area is about 2,455 square meters. And then we can see a map in which we can see in front of the decumanos we have a landscape exhibition area. Then we have a path, a covered path by exhibition area with plants and all stuff that my colleague start describing in the presentation after me. And then we arrive in a covered market area that we call the oven, that is about 700 square meters, where there is a stage and a big area for food facilities. And then for customization, so then the name and the flag, we have disposition on the facade that are inside the cluster in the exhibition part that bring people from the Decumano to the covered area that we call the oven. And then this is an example. You can see, as for Cocoa Cluster, the name in Italian, bigger, and then the little name in the language of the country. And you can choose in your language which one you prefer, and then the flag. And the position is on the door, on the entrance door in the common path. As before, we develop the concept with Politecnico di Milano in an international workshop with Moscow Institute of Architecture and the Parsons School of Design from USA. We have three concepts. You choose one of these, and then we make the final design with my colleague Franco Tagliabue and Alessandro Rocca from Politecnico di Milano. I leave the floor to them to explain how the common area is at the end of this design process.
Good morning and welcome to you. Before starting to explain something about the exhibit program that will be shown after me by Professor Alessandro Rocca, I would like to introduce a short summary of the main issue of the cereals and tubers cluster that is situated in the east side of the Expo area. And it's open on the decumans in two main sides, the decumans on the northern side and the open air theater in the back side. I think, in my opinion, you are very lucky because, in my opinion, it's a very interesting area because it opens towards the two very crowded areas, and so we can try to catch a lot of people from this part. We can divide the exhibition in 4 parts. The first one is just under the tents of the decumans, in which we can find the tubers plants exhibition. The second, in the middle of the cluster, we have the central part with the cereals cultivation exhibition on the tables that will be shown by architect Rocca after me, and at the end of the path, the food experience, what we call the food experience, in which we hope that the people could try to prepare and cook some food made by cereals and tubers ingredients and try them. And the canopy and the chimney invite to protect the visitors. We gave a big importance to the sunlight under the canopy in the central path in a condition of middle sun and shadow, as I told you before. And in this part we have the cultivation cereals, and the sunlight comes from the sky through the hole of the big chimney and the end of the path. So you can see in this slide the central path looking for the towards the market and food area in the right side of the slide, and the public space under the chimney in the left side. You can see also the table with the cultivation of cereals just in front of the entrance of each pavilion. So at the end we have the main space that is covered with a monumental chimney. We use a sort of metaphor of the big chimney as a place in which all the people coming from the pavilions and all the visitors could meet during Expo time and during the events. In this place is located the kitchen for the food and the market area. So southward the chimney is an open canopy, inviting the people to visit the cluster, above all coming from the open air theater, so a lot of people. And you can see under the chimney the seats for the people, for the show, and the stage on the left side, just in front of the market food area.
Yes, so you have seen the general architectural concept. Now I explain shortly the exhibit concept, how to introduce people in the theme of cereals and tubers. The first contact for the people coming from the Decumanus is this big text, Cluster Cereals and Tubers, that occupy this space between the real beginning of the cluster and the Decumanus. This text go over this tower, the tower where we host a selected number of tubers. That will be just something like a landmark, walking along the Decumanus, catching the attention of the people and inviting people to enter to get inside our cluster. On the two facades of the two pavilions facing the Decumanus, we have two big maps with the distribution of cereals and tubers over the general map of the world. From outside, from these borders that we don't know exactly what we will have along these long sides of the clusters, we will put some big maps with data about consumption, production, transformation of cereals and tubers. They will be just big images put at 5 meters and above of heightness, so will be a perception very light. In a way, it's something like a decoration, ornament of the cluster, but the message is that cereals and tubers are very important for many nations, for all the world, are staple food for quite all the entire population of the world. So the entering the cluster, the tower of the tubers is the first very next contact, tactile contacts, direct experience with the living plants. People, children will touch the tubers, will see the tubers from a very short distance, getting an emotional, having an emotional exchange with the living plants. Then, entering the cluster, the visitors will meet a series of 6 tables that are 6 tables We call it the agricultural show. We will have real plants of cereals and tubers put in the middle of the central path, and we also have a series of information, very basic information that is not a museum, is a quick exhibit. The people passing from one pavilion to the other pavilion get a strong impression, again, very tactile, very sensorial of the real plants, and receive some immediate information. We will have the drawings, the technical drawings of the plants. We will have the geography, something like landscape, distribution, position in the world, in the continents of the plants. We will have some information about the technology of cultivation, but just spots, just images, very clear, to be perceived in a walking manner, passing from one pavilion to the other pavilion. These are some renders that can give the impression of what will be this agricultural show that has the goal to attract people inside the path and then inside your pavilions. The micro gardens. This is the detail with the national pavilions and this garden that occupy the common space of the cluster. This is a proposal for the customization of the facade of a national pavilion. We would like to use, to make something like an ornament. The lower part of the pavilion, until 5 meters, is made of polycarbonate, and over this translucid surface, we would like to impress symbols, emblems, images typical of each country. So this decoration will be personalized, customized, hopefully in collaboration with you, with the representative of the countries that will choose, will give us inputs about selecting these images. That can be any kind of images, from important people or typical animals or typical images of any kind. And this is the final step of the cereals and tubers experience. At the end of the exhibit path, there is this big covered plaza that is a place where we will have the main events, we will have the restaurant, we will have the oven, and is the place where also the different countries, I think, can organize events, can use this space along a timeline for specific events. This is a detail of this part that will be for spectacle, also for shopping. There will be a market, and of course food, exhibit on food, but also consumption of food. This is a detail of the oven, when the people hopefully will eat something that is prepared at the moment with all these different kind of cereals and tubers coming from every part of the world. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, I am Chiara Mazzocchi. I come from the Faculty of Agriculture and Food Science of Milan, and I'm going to present the content of cereals and tubers cluster. The difficulty of this cluster is that the cultivation and the uses of cereals and tubers are very numerous and different, and so we try to be comprehensive of whole the theme of cereals and tubers, but also we must be very scientific in doing this. So we work strictly together with the architect Tagliabue and Rocca, but of course your suggestions are very useful to develop and improve our work. So, cereals and tubers cultivation has a relevance written in the history of mankind. From wheat to corn, from potatoes to millet, this basic product, giving carbohydrates, have nourished and sustained the population of the whole planet from their discovery to the present, from east to west. So in the last 50 years, agricultural production has globally tripled, and this increase was supported in particular by higher yields per unit area and the intensification of crop production, rarely for increasing of inarable land. And you can see this in the chart. You can see world the cereal harvested area and production, and in the last 50 years, you can see that if harvested area is constant in this year, you can see that production has increased a lot. So the global agri-food system, in the global agri-food system, cereals plays a significant role. For 45%, cereals are direct to human consumption. For 22% for industrial uses and waste and seed, and for the 33% for animal feed. In this sense, also animal feed are direct to usually to human consumption. So the economic impact of the sector is dependent not only on the production and consumption of agricultural product, but also from the impact of the derivatives in other sectors, such as milling and bread-making industry, or non-food uses, such as typically biofuels uses. Compared to the global production of cereals of over 2,005 billion tons, corn, thanks to its productivity, contributes to 34%, rice for 28%, and wheat for 27%. Following are, as you can see in the charts, barley, sorghum, millet, oats, triticale, and rye. So the geography of cereals and tubers are very numerous and diffuses of all the in all the world, and the major cereal producing countries are the North America with the United States of America, but also Latin America with Brazil and Argentina, especially for the maize. While in the east part of the world is concentrated the production of wheat and rice, especially with China, Russia, Ukraine, and India. Also Australia with wheat. So, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ambrogina Pagani, and as Chiara Mazzocchi, I work at the University of Milan. And I will complete the content presented by Chiara, taking into account how mankind has learned to use and to exploit cereals and tubers for its feeding. And as we can see in this very popular drawing, cereals are not the food of God, but are a staple food, a food for everyone in the world. And so they are not only, they assure not only health nutrition for people, but are eco-friendly, sustainable for the planet. So, we know that 8 cereals are generally considered the most important in the world, but despite the differences in shape, in weight, all cereals grains present a similar structure, and we easily recognize 3 regions. Certainly the most important part of cereal grains, both for nutritional and technological purposes, is the central part, what is called endosperm, that is generally transformed into flour. to give origin to a very large number of different products. And as summarized in this slide, more than 8,000 years ago, men learned how to exploit the cereal and tubers, but and these discoveries, as well known, represented the beginning of a new era. But besides the consumption as whole kernels or porridge, our ancestors early learned that only wheat kernels could be successfully transformed into a large number of products, among them bread and pasta, the basic food of Mediterranean diet and other many types of nutrition. And the superior quality of wheat is surely related to the peculiar properties of its storage proteins, the proteins that are commonly called gluten, suitable to form a continuous and regular network when flour is mixed with water. Only wheat gluten has the capability to expand during bread leavening, assuring a soft, porous, and pleasant texture, or gluten has the capability to allow the absorption of high water amounts of water during pasta cooking, assuring a flexible structure, but at the same time a firm and not sticky food. And even if bread and pasta are both produced from wheat, some steps in the production chain are carried out applying different conditions that highly affect the final characteristic of products. Bread is produced and consumed all over the world, and it's, as already said, is one of principal sources of nutrition. And the baking process is one of the most important discoveries of mankind. And some scientists rank the importance of baking process discovery alongside the discovery of fire or the invention of the wheel. And leavening the fermentation carried out by yeast assures the formation of a bubble structure that is fixed by baking. And eating and chewing the soft and pleasant structure of breadcrumb satisfies our sensory requirements and at the same time fulfills the energy needs. But this same porous structure is a critical element, as it determines a short shell life and a rapid starch digestibility, given a product with a very high glycemic index that it's a serious problem for many Western consumers. On the contrary, the extrusion process and the drying step assure a compact and dense structure to pasta, and consequently this product has a very long shelf life, more than 3 years, and a very slow starch digestibility. Moreover, the nutritional deficiencies present in pasta can be easily overcome by the use of sauces that generally contain a certain amount of animals, proteins, or lipids, fibers, vitamins, and minerals. And despite the success and the popularity of these foods, we are asked to find answers to emerging challenges. And here proposed one of the most important challenges represented by the exploitation of gluten-free cereals and pseudo-cereals. And the lack of gluten in several cereals make these raw materials suitable for gluten-free products. However, The lack of gluten impairs the possibility to obtain a good bubble texture and therefore an appealing structure for bread according to the quality criteria of Western consumers. And our challenges are represented by the necessity to increase the fiber amount or decrease the glycemic index while maintaining the sensory properties of white bread. And interesting suggestion, according my opinion, can arise from studying the technological process and the recipes of traditional bread-like products obtained from local and less important cereals. And the same philosophy can be adopted in the case of pasta. The exploitation of gluten-free cereals and pseudo-cereals can be achieved by studying the traditional pasta-making process used in many Far East countries. And as already said, pasta is an excellent base to convey important nutrients as protein, minerals, and fiber. And what about tubers? These particular plant structures are very rich in starch, as cereals are, and they represent a primary source of energy for many people in African or South American countries. But potato are surely among the most diffused tubers all around the world, and apart from the direct consumption, mainly in tropical countries, potato and all tubers are very important also for Western countries, as they are important raw material for starch extraction. And starch is more and more present in many foods as thickening component, or can be transformed into sugars and glucose syrups. And in conclusion, I can say that cereal and tubers represent therefore a traditional energy source for the whole planet, but may also find new applications and may represent a good solution for the planet emerging challenges. I thank you for your attention.
We can take only 2 questions. Sorry for that, but we have only 5 minutes before the coffee cluster, so no questions.
Je vous félicite pour ces présentations très brèves mais très édifiantes. Je suis François-Joseph Delinois de la délégation d'Haïti. Et il y a une chose qui a attiré mon attention lorsque l'on présentait les céréales. Et le présentateur disait qu'il y avait des difficultés à présenter les produits céréaliers. Ces difficultés surviennent surtout lorsqu'il s'agit de présenter la plante elle-même. Dans les pavillons, nous, au niveau de la délégation d'Haïti, au niveau de la commission qui travaille sur la préparation d'Haïti à l'Expo, et on se demandait est-ce qu'il fallait venir avec des plantes. Par exemple, quand on parle de l'igname comme tubercule, est-ce qu'il fallait venir avec des plants d'igname ou est-ce qu'il fallait faire pousser l'igname sur place dans le pavillon? Et comme c'est le cas du maïs aussi, si on veut montrer le maïs, est-ce que c'est important de montrer le maïs à l'intérieur du pavillon? Et comme vous venez de le montrer, il y a un espace commun dans le cluster où les céréales peuvent être montrées au vif. À ce moment-là, peut-être qu'il ne sera pas nécessaire de les faire voir à l'intérieur des pavillons. Donc, on aimerait partager cette idée avec vous. Donc, est-ce qu'il ne faudrait pas laisser les plantes vivantes à l'extérieur, qu'on montre les plantes à l'extérieur et de préférence montrer les produits et leur transformation dans les pavillons. Donc là, je pense que ça pourra aider les délégations, les pays, dans les questions de transport de plantes vivantes qui certainement vont occasionner des difficultés. Et comme ça, on serait limité à l'exposition des produits et leurs dérivés. Donc, c'est cette idée-là qu'on aimerait partager avec vous, comment vous le voyez. Et ça aiderait des deux côtés, et du côté du transport et du côté aussi des questions de douane, tout ça, d'entrée de plantes vivantes. C'était ça mon idée. Merci.
We take another question, then we answer. Okay, thank you.
Bien, c'est Johnson de la délégation du Togo, ici le commissaire général du Togo. Je partage le même avis que mon collègue de Haïti. Votre présentation nous a édifiés parce que nous avons également le même problème. Comment faut-il présenter cette expo au niveau des tubercules et céréales? Et évidemment, je pense que, comme il a dit, c'est ce que nous allons faire. Et laisser ces plantes que vous avez présentées tout à l'heure dans la zone commune. Et nous, à l'intérieur du pavillon, essayer de voir l'aspect nutritionnel. Mais je voudrais aussi revenir sur un aspect que vous avez ici bien dit et qui peut nous aider aussi parce que nous avons un autre problème au niveau de l'occupation du pavillon, parce que nous estimons pouvoir avoir une cuisine et faire transformer les produits. Mais là, j'ai bien appris qu'il y a une zone qui est réservée pour ça. Mais là, nous voudrons avoir plus d'informations. Et comment cette zone sera gérée? Est-ce qu'on aura un espace commercial pour nous-mêmes? Et est-ce que la cuisine, on pourrait avoir accès à cela? Et comme ça, l'option que nous avons faite, on peut la laisser tomber parce que déjà ça pose problème avec celui qui travaille avec nous au niveau du budget, au niveau d'un certain nombre de choses. Si on a suffisamment d'informations sur tous ces espaces, on peut revenir sur notre position du choix de l'espace au niveau du pavillon. Je vous remercie.
Okay. I try to summarize quickly, synthetic answer at your questions. Mainly, the common area is up to the organizer and his partner. We have presented you our idea of exhibition. In our exhibition, there are real plans, and these plans are all the operation related to these plans are up to the organizer and could not interact in any way with the participant. You have your pavilion. Inside your pavilion, you don't have window, you don't have any structure that could be useful to cultivate plants. If you want to have real plants, we have to design self-fitted solution like greenhouses or other stuff like that allow you to having plants and grow. I want to make 2 points about having real plants in an exhibition space. There is a problem of time. because the plants in 6 months, they grow. So we have to choose mainly about our exhibition if we want to have the plant in a phase of his life or show the phase of life of the plants. So for this reason, it's important to understand what you want to do inside your pavilion. Outside, we are working in having the growth of the plants, because are real plants and we can substitute them during the event. Inside, there are 2 problems, I think. One, I told you before, is the budget. We have 600 euro square meters for the exhibition, and if your content exhibition is about showing a process of life of the plants or other stuff like that, you have to know that these elements has a cost, and you have to evaluate with us what is the right way to do this. And the other thing important to stress that Ottorino Passariello, our operational manager, said yesterday is that all the plants that will be in the Expo site are from Europe and Italy, because there is a phytosanitarian problem of quarantine of these plants that is 3 years from plants that does not come from Europe and Italy. So to summarize and answer to your question, I think we have to in a bilateral meeting understand in base of your team statement what is your idea of exhibition, and then understand how we can help you to bring plans or show the process or the elements, or show some products. Products are more easier than yeah. And for the other question about, I don't understand if you are talking about of a common area or of individual area, because in the individual exhibition area you have a kitchen if you choose it, and a place you can sell your products, but it's up to you, and all the operational phase is up to the participants. In the common area we are looking for a partner, and the managing of this area it will be for the partner. So like in the next presentation we will have Illy, that is our partner for Coffee Cluster, and we can show you how we are working with our partner in managing this common area.